Alright, I need you to really listen to what I'm about to say, because this isn't hype, and this isn't some recycled rumor from Twitter. There have been multiple close sources out of Anthony Joshua's camp that during a closed training session, one nobody outside the team was even supposed to know about, AJ landed a punch so clean, so brutal, that it left his sparring partner completely unconscious on the canvas. Not stunned, not rocked, out cold. And the craziest part? This happened weeks before the Jake Paul fight. Add that to the new training footage that just dropped, and suddenly the entire dynamic of this fight has changed. Jake Paul is walking into something way more dangerous than he ever expected. So buckle up, because we're going inside AJ's camp. We're breaking down the knockout, the footage, the reactions, and what this really means for Jake Paul. Let's get into it. Before we touch the knockout, you need the context. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua isn't some negotiation stage setup. It's locked, signed, confirmed, branded, and already rolled out to the world. Press conferences done, photo shoots done, Netflix promotion blasted everywhere. Jake Paul sat across from one of the most physically dangerous heavyweights of the last decade like he belonged there. Fans were like, no way. This has to be a simulation. Jake Paul is not about to fight Anthony Joshua, but he is. And AJ has treated this like a real fight from day one. There's no celebrity boxing energy in his camp. There's no just showing up for the payday vibe. He's training like he's preparing for a heavyweight title eliminator. And that's the part Jake Paul was not ready for. AJ's training for this fight has a very different flavor from his previous camps. He's lighter on his feet. He's more relaxed. He's letting his hands go more fluidly. He's throwing combinations with the kind of freedom he used to have before 2019. This isn't the cautious, overly technical AJ that boxed Andy Ruiz in the rematch. This isn't the tense, conflicted AJ that second-guessed himself against Usyk. This AJ looks alive again. Loose shoulders, sharp angles, snapping punches rather than pushing punches. Even fans who don't usually notice technique were saying, something looks different. AJ looks dangerous again. And there's a reason. Earlier this year, Joshua quietly trained with Alexander Usyk's team. Not as a full camp switch, but as a knowledge-gathering mission. Usyk, the guy who beat AJ twice. The guy who exposed his weaknesses. The guy who outthought him, outmoved him, outtimed him. Most fighters never swallow their pride enough to learn from the man who beat them. AJ did. And you can see it now. Better rhythm, better balance, better shot selection. And the crazy part? He's mixing all of that with his natural heavyweight power. This version of AJ is a hybrid. Usyk's brain mixed with AJ's raw force. Which leads us closer to why that sparring KO happened. When the new footage dropped, Jake Paul immediately reacted online. But his reaction was weird. Instead of breaking down Joshua's movement or power, Jake focused on small things. Oh, AJ looks robotic. Oh, AJ's stiff. Oh, AJ's too slow to hit me. But here's the truth. Jake was reacting to the public footage, not the private sparring. He didn't comment on AJ's improved head movement. He didn't comment on AJ's new combinations. He didn't comment on AJ's explosiveness. Jake saw maybe 10% of what AJ really looks like right now. And deep down, he knows he's in trouble. There's a reason AJ's pad work trended everywhere. He wasn't just punching hard. He was punching fast, with purpose, with rhythm, with venom. He looked like a heavyweight who rediscovered the joy of hitting something again. Fans started saying things like, Jake's getting sent to the shadow realm. AJ looks like he wants to hurt someone. This is not the fight Jake thinks it is. And that was before the knockout story leaked. Now imagine watching that clip knowing AJ later flattened a sparring partner behind closed doors. It hits differently. Before the KO story became public, trainers around the camp started hinting at something. One said AJ was hitting with a different kind of violence. Another said AJ turned the clock back. Another said his timing was shockingly sharp. Whenever coaches speak in coded language like that, it usually means one thing. Something big happened in sparring. And it did. More on that in a moment. Here it is. Multiple sources, some from AJ's side, some from independent boxing reporters, confirmed the same story. During a private sparring session, Anthony Joshua landed a right hand so clean, so accurate, so perfectly timed, that his sparring partner went completely unconscious. Not a flash knockdown, not a stumble, not a wobbly recovery. Lights out. Canvas. Coaches had to step in immediately. Session canceled. Medical staff called over. The fighter eventually regained consciousness after being treated, but everyone in that room felt the same thing. Joshua has his knockout power back. And this wasn't some amateur. This was a legitimate heavyweight sparring partner with experience. Someone used to getting hit. If that guy couldn't take the shot, Jake Paul has no chance of surviving it. Sparring KOs happen in boxing. But with AJ, this moment means more because for years people claimed his power had declined. They said, AJ's too hesitant. AJ's scared to let his hands go. AJ isn't the destroyer he used to be. But this KO proves something very important. When AJ is relaxed, when AJ is confident, when AJ is not overthinking, his power is still world class. And right now, he's checked all three of those boxes. This knockout wasn't AJ loading up, swinging wildly, or trying to kill someone. It was clean, efficient, technical. That's the worst kind of punch for Jake Paul. When the news leaked, the reactions were loud. Carl Froch basically laughed and said AJ will obliterate Jake Paul. Johnny Nelson said Jake won't make it past 2 rounds. Derek Chisora said if AJ doesn't finish Jake early, he should retire. And Joe Joyce, the man known for having one of the best chins in the division, said, if AJ is knocking out heavyweights in sparring again, Jake Paul should reconsider life choices. That's not hate. That's heavyweight professionals keeping it real. Jake Paul has heart. Jake Paul works hard. Jake Paul is dedicated. But Jake Paul has never been hit by a real heavyweight. Not a cruiserweight. Not a washed-up veteran. Not a UFC striker. A real heavyweight. Someone who hits with natural, freakish power. Someone who can end a fight accidentally. Someone whose jab feels like a right hook. Jake may have power. Jake may have confidence. But unless he lands a miracle shot early, which AJ will see coming a mile away, he has no weapon that can keep Joshua honest. AJ's going to walk him down, cut the ring, touch the body, break the guard, and eventually, find the chin. People forget this part. Jake Paul has never gone into a fight with this level of pressure. The whole world expects him to get knocked out. Memes are ready. Clips are ready. Fans are salivating. Jake usually thrives on chaos, but this is pressure he can't joke his way out of. He said beating AJ would make him the face of boxing, but he also knows losing to AJ ends the storyline forever. Jake is boxing's villain, but even villains get humbled. Here's how the fight most likely plays out. AJ keeps a high guard and tests Jake's reactions with the jab. Jake tries to counter over the top like he did against Woodley. AJ reads it easily. AJ presses forward. Jake starts moving more than punching. AJ hits the body. Jake slows. AJ lands a heavy right hand around the guard, and the fight changes instantly. Jake Paul has never been in with anything like AJ. This is not an influencer fight. This is not Tyron Woodley. This is not a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. This is a prime, motivated Anthony Joshua with knockout power returning. The end result is almost inevitable. One thing that gets lost in the hype is the science behind Joshua's power. People see a knockout and think, big punch. They don't understand the physics. Performance coaches around AJ have said for years that Joshua generates elite-level force even when he doesn't fully commit to a punch. His right hand has been clocked before at numbers comparable to Deontay Wilder's jab, which alone should terrify Jake Paul. But here's the scary part. AJ isn't loading up anymore. He's punching smarter, not harder. That sparring KO wasn't the result of a wild swing. It was clean mechanics, perfect balance, perfect weight transfer, perfect timing. When you mix those elements with someone who's naturally powerful, you get exactly what happened in camp. A man on the floor, unconscious, from a punch he didn't even see. Jake Paul isn't surviving a shot like that. Not in 6 rounds. Not in 4 rounds. Not in 1. So that's the full breakdown of the new AJ training footage, and the sparring knockout that confirms Joshua is entering this Jake Paul fight in terrifying form. Let me know in the comments right now. Does Jake survive the first round? Does he shock the world? Or does AJ end this fight in violent fashion? I'm telling you now, after what we just learned today, this fight might end quicker than anyone expects. Make sure you're subscribed for daily uploads, stay tuned for more breakdowns, And keep your notifications on because this story is only getting crazier the closer we get to fight night. See you in the next video.